We're back. We're back. Liaza and mi madre.
That's me.
Most beautiful Sicilian 86-year-old this side of
Heaven.
Idaho. I wanted to talk a little bit about great grandpa.
Okay.
I'm so proud of the fact that my great grandpa was a Baptist preacher. And he was in Harlem and he had his own church. The church is still there. And he was actually having a revival. They were going to be doing a revival at a guest church. So he was at this revival, and my father was in that congregation. And actually, we have the notes that he had, and he was actually written up in the paper as well. But my great-grandfather was at the pulpit, and he was giving his sermon. And then he took off his glasses, and he set them down, and he looked up to heaven, and he said, "My father calls." And he died right there in the pulpit, heart attack, standing up, in fact. And that had a profound effect on my dad. So he had a Baptist father, grandfather, Baptist side of there, and then his mother was Jewish, from the tribe of Benjamin, actually. And so he had, I'd like to say, the best of both worlds. But he grew up, I think the fact that he felt that God took his grandfather like that, he just wanted nothing to do with God or church or anything, and he ran from the Lord for many years, and got involved with some certain groups out in New York back in the 30s.
Around Brooklyn, too.
And passed for Italian, but he was half black, and he was Indian and Jewish. And anyway, so I just love the fact that the lineage of my great-grandfather and whoever knows before that he loved the Lord, and that the Lord took him right then and there in the pulpit. And now with me, I just have a heart for people, and I have a heart to minister and to just give hope, and just a little small corner of the world that we could do. I just know that there's people that scroll through social media, and if we could just be an encouragement to somebody, I don't know, it's a passion of mine just to worship him and to just minister to people. And when I had Jojo, my son, I don't even think the cord was cut, and I just lifted him and I gave him to Jesus. And then on my mom's side, poor thing, completely opposite. My grandmother they came from Catholicism. So her grandma was a praying woman, prayed for all her sons and her family and her daughter. And but my grandmother, my mom's mom, was not so much following the Lord. She was in the bars a lot. Left my mom alone by herself up above the tenement, above the bars and things like that. So mom didn't really have a nice upbringing growing up. But Jesus, but the Lord.
Yeah.
And I remember she was Catholic, and her and my dad, they made it work, although my dad wanted nothing to do with Christianity or Catholicism or nothing. He was just doing his own thing on the weekends, and my mom would take us to church. Well, one day at work, she met a lady who introduced her to Jesus and took her to church. And I believe it was a Church of God of Prophecy. Is that correct? Yeah. And it was in California. And the thing about that was they wouldn't let her become a member because she was divorced. And so she just worked on her hands and knees. She would scrub the church and clean, and she would be there for them, but she could never be a member. And then you found Calvary, and Calvary let you, just with open arms, just took you in and loved you. And that's kind of where I, at 5 years old, started developing all my friendships and relationships in Christian school and things like that. Mm-hmm. But mom, when she got saved radically. And Dad wasn't ready for that. Not at all. And didn't you tell Dad one time, I love Jesus more than I love you?
I probably did do that. I mean, I
remember.
was kind of ignorant, you know. I was a brand new Christian, and I probably made so many mistakes. But you know, he never stopped me from going to church. He never stopped me from tithing or anything that I was doing for the Lord. He never stopped me.
Because he grew up in that whole, you know, in a Christian home. So he knew deep down that that was the best for you, especially because you were so ill. You know, you went through a lot of things, and so he saw that change in you when you became saved.
Yeah.
And then when he was like, 60, in his 60s, blessed Pastor Don Fugate in Foxworthy Baptist Church, they kind of tricked my dad. Pastor Don went to my father and said, hey, we're doing this show, and we would love for you to work the camera. And so my dad was always wanting to help. And so he's like, yeah, I can do that. So my dad did the camera for this show, but poor Don and the people, because when they tried to look through the camera and replay it, the camera was just like everywhere. It was just everywhere, and they were all getting sick. But the good thing about that is that at the end, I think it was called Heaven's
Gates, Hell's
Fury,
Fire, or
something like that. It was pretty intense, and it was a ministry type of drama. And at the end, they gave the invitation to receive Jesus. And my father, behind the camera, said the prayer. And then afterwards, he went to Don and he said, yeah, you know that thing that they said. Well, I said the prayer. And so he became a Christian in his 60s. He came back to the Lord through Baptist Church, and they called him what? What did they call him? John the Baptist. They called him John the Baptist.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see him just flourish and be involved in Bible studies and men's ministry. So if you have people out there that you're really believing, you know, Mom was faithful for 20-something years praying for him to come in.
Yeah.
And he did. And I thank God for that, because now he's with the Lord. He's
Yes.
probably preparing a place for us right now, helping Jesus with our mansions, right?
He's probably looking down and saying, what the heck happened to you, Pat?
Aw. Yeah.
I didn't have all this white hair then, but yeah.
Anyways, well, thanks for joining us tonight. Talk to you later. Bye-bye. Until next time.